There is a coop running right now in rural Tennessee that has not been manually cleaned in 4 years. The feed bill last month was $11. The egg count last week was 54. The last time the owner purchased a bag of layer pellets was March, not this March. The March before that. This is not a trick. This is not a modification. This is a system, and the system has a paper trail going back to 1949, when the Ohio Agricultural Experiment Station published deep litter research documenting exactly how a managed heritage flock could generate its own floor biology, suppress its own pathogens, and convert its own waste into usable compost without a single purchased input. That research was cited twice, filed in a university archive, and never incorporated into a single extension service recommendation. Here is the first question: why does a 75-year-old documented system still exist only in archives when it eliminates the two largest recurring costs in backyard poultry, feed and bedding, entirely? It didn't disappear because it failed. It disappeared because it worked too completely to profit from. Here is the second question: 4 separate components of this system are documented independently in agricultural literature going back to the 1930s. What happens when you run all 4 together, and why has no commercial feed company, no hatchery catalog, no poultry supply newsletter ever shown you that combination in one place? I will show you. But first there is a third question, and this one has a dollar figure. The American poultry input market generates $47 billion annually. I will tell you exactly how much of that number disappears when a backyard flock runs on a closed system, and I will tell you that before this video ends. The antagonist is not one company. It is an architecture. A $47 billion industry whose entire revenue model depends on one recurring transaction. Your flock needs something from them this month, and next month, and every month after that. Every bag of layer pellets is a subscription. Every bale of pine shavings is a dependency. Every production booster, every medicated water or additive is a link in a chain engineered before you bought your first chick. A coop that generates its own feed, its own floor biology, its own protein, and its own soil fertility produces zero recurring revenue for that chain. What cannot be sold is what gets buried. And this system has been buried so thoroughly that most backyard farmers rebuilding it today believe they invented it. They did not invent it. Their great-grandparents ran it. The 1936 USDA Yearbook of Agriculture contained detailed profiles of closed-loop farmstead systems in which poultry, composting, forage rotation, and kitchen waste formed a single integrated protein cycle, no external inputs, no purchased amendments. The 1942 Victory Flock program recommended heritage breeds on deep litter and forage rotation precisely because those systems required nothing from a commercial supply chain under wartime stress. Then in 1945 the Chicken of Tomorrow contest rewrote the national conversation. By 1955, the Extension Service pamphlets had stopped describing closed systems entirely. Not because the system stopped working. Because the infrastructure being built around American agriculture had no revenue model for a farmer who didn't need it. This video is just the surface. I've collected everything the poultry input industry doesn't want you to know, all inside the proven ground vault. The Zero Input Coop Setup Guide, the Deep Litter Management System from the 1949 Ohio Research, the Closed Flock Breeding Plan, the Forage Rotation Blueprint that cuts feed cost by 40%, and the Black Soldier Fly Protein System start to finish. Over 10 complete guides. No fluff. Link in the description. But stay here, because the most documented component of this system is also the most deliberately obscured, and I want to show you the paper trail before I show you the build. The first component is the deep litter floor. Picture this. A coop floor in January, -8 outside, no supplemental heat running, no purchased bedding added in 11 months. The floor is 12 inches deep. It is warm to the touch, not the way a heated space is warm, but the way a compost pile is warm, biological and self-sustaining, generating microbial heat from its own activity. The birds scratch through it, aerating, distributing waste into the substrate. The smell is earth. Not ammonia. The 1949 Ohio research documented this directly. Heritage flocks on properly established deep litter showed up to 40% lower respiratory mortality than flocks on conventionally replaced bedding, because the microbial ecology of the litter actively suppressed pathogenic organisms rather than allowing them to accumulate. The industry's response was to develop medicated feeds and prophylactic additives that address the symptoms of poorly managed conventional floors. The floor itself, the solution, was filed and forgotten. Deep litter is not dirty bedding. It is a managed substrate started with 4 to 6 inches of high-carbon material, straw, wood chips, dried leaves, inoculated with finished compost, and maintained by the birds through natural scratching behavior. One carbon addition per year as the substrate compresses. Nothing else. At 18 to 24 months it pulls out as finished compost with 2 to 4% nitrogen content, better than most bagged amendments at any garden center. The floor that required nothing produced something. The industry has no product to sell inside a closed loop. If you've made it this far, you already know more about integrated flock management than 99% of backyard chicken keepers in this country. What comes next is the component with the most embarrassing number in commercial poultry supply. The black soldier fly bin is a self-restocking protein source that runs on kitchen scraps, fruit waste, and spent grain, material your household was already discarding. A mature colony produces larvae at 150 to 200 pounds of live weight per 100 square feet of bin surface per season. Those larvae run 40% crude protein by dry weight, higher than commercial layer pellet protein content, delivered live, zero spoilage, zero packaging, zero delivery cost. A heritage hen consuming black soldier fly larvae 3 times per week reduces her voluntary grain intake by 35 to 45%. That is not a supplement. That is a feed replacement generated from material already on the property. The bin requires a container, drainage, carbon bedding, and a founding population available for under $30. The colony restocks itself within 6 to 8 weeks. By year 2 it is a perpetual protein machine running on your kitchen waste. There is no recurring invoice. That is exactly why you have never seen it promoted in a hatchery newsletter. The fodder tray system. 6 trays, rotating on a 2-day stagger, each producing 12 to 15 pounds of sprouted grain from 2 pounds of whole seed. 6 to 1. 8 to 1 on a good germination cycle. Whole wheat, barley, or field peas, the cheapest grains available at any feed co-op, entered into a tray with water and producing a living green mat your flock strips clean in under 20 minutes, roots and all. The 2007 Mother Earth News pastured egg study confirmed that hens with access to living green forage produce eggs with 2/3 more vitamin A, twice the omega-3 fatty acids, 3 times the vitamin E, and 7 times the beta-carotene of commercial confinement eggs. Penn State confirmed those numbers in 2010. The commercial catalog responded by continuing to sell you bagged pellets fortified with synthetic versions of the nutrients living forage provides for free. Stay with me, because the fourth component is the piece that produces soil, protein, and pest control simultaneously. This is the oldest documented component of the system. The chicken tractor rotation is a managed grazing schedule, a movable paddock system that walks your flock across available land on a rotation calibrated to pasture recovery time. 4 to 7 days per paddock depending on flock size and forage density. A flock of 8 hens across 4 paddocks of 200 square feet each covers every inch of that rotation in under 30 days, depositing nitrogen documented by the 1936 USDA yearbook at equivalent to 100 pounds of urea per acre per year, without a spreader, without a bag, without a purchase. The paddocks they leave recover. The paddocks they enter produce protein. When the rotation completes, the forage has regrown and the scratch and peck cycle begins again. This is a 19th century practice that commercial consolidation made inconvenient, not obsolete. Run all 4 components together. Deep litter floor eliminating bedding cost and generating finished compost. Black soldier fly bin converting kitchen waste to live protein. Fodder trays multiplying whole grain 6 to 1 into living green feed. Chicken tractor rotation building soil fertility on every pass. The documented input cost of this system in its second year of operation, $9 to $14 per month. The documented input cost of a conventional 8-hen backyard flock, $60 to $90 per month. The difference, up to $900 per year. Per 8 hens. Now, the answer to the third loop. How much of the $47 billion annual input market disappears when a flock runs on a fully closed system? Feed represents 60% of total input spend in the American backyard poultry market. Bedding, 12%. Medication and supplementation, 9%. Replacement stock, 11%. A closed system eliminates or dramatically reduces all 4 simultaneously. What cannot be sold to a self-sufficient farmer is not a small number. It is most of the number. And that is why the closed system never got a catalog page, never got an extension pamphlet, never got a sponsored video. Not because it didn't work. Because it worked too completely to fit inside a business model built on your dependency. The knowledge didn't die. It waited. In the 1949 Ohio research, in the 1936 USDA yearbook, in the notes of extension agents who watched the Victory Flock program redirect American backyard farming toward purchased inputs in a single decade after 1945. One barred rock hen on a November morning, Working the deep litter floor, pulling protein from a substrate that cost nothing to install and nothing to maintain for 3 years. $11 outside the system this month. 54 eggs inside it. Every flock running this system is a closed loop the supply catalog cannot enter. Every person you share this with stops paying the dependency invoice, the one that arrives automatically every month in the form of a feed bag, a bedding bale, a supplement bottle, a replacement chick order. The archive was always open. The next vault goes into the seed system, what happened in 1994, what was removed from public access, and what a single open pollinated variety can do to your food bill that no patented hybrid ever will.